Hello everybody, welcome to my breakdown of my arrangement of Photograph. The original piece is by Cody. It was written for strings, piano, and vocal. I decided to take it in a different approach and I wanted to see if I could arrange it for the percussion ensemble. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get straight into this. So, here we have the harmony for the first verse. Now this is more implied harmony than true harmony because of how stripped back it is. So this is just how I was thinking it as I was coming up with a harmony for it. It's just a real simple 5 to 1 to 1 over 3 back to 1. Very static, stays at home, stays on the tonic for most of it. And it's mostly just set up for the rest of the piece. So moving on. Look at all that harmony. This is the first chorus, and there's quite a bit of harmony in it, so let's take it a few steps at a time. To start off, we have the 1 sus, followed by the 1 sus over 4, followed by the 7 diminished, and then rising up the scale from the 7 to the 1 to the 2. I wanted to use a lot of 1 sus chords during the chorus because I felt there was a way to relieve a lot of tension without fully relieving it, so that tension is still carried throughout the piece. The only times there's a tonic chord during the chorus that isn't a sus chord is when it's quickly followed by another chord, such as in this instance where the D flat major is quickly followed by the E flat minor. Two things real quick. I should have mentioned this before. My apologies. The key is in D flat major. We're on the key of D flat major. So D flat, the D flat major chord is our tonic. These are not, what you're seeing on screen isn't the exact voicings that are used in the arrangement. Really just what matters most for our purposes is what the chord is overall and what the bass note is. Other than that, it's just very generic voicings. And third thing, the three things, while I did my best to try and get the melodies from the original song correct, I pretty much did my own thing for the harmonies. I mostly ignored the harmonies of the original song and decided to create my own. So all these harmonies you're seeing are my harmonies. Well, they may be harmonies of the original song. I don't know how close my interpretation of the harmonies are to the official song, but this is just what I came up with. So, following that rising action from the 1 to the 2, we go back down to 1 sus, followed by 3, the minor third, followed by the minor sixth, and then rising again from the 6th to the 7 to the 1. Lots of rising action in this chorus. It's very nice. This is something that the original song does, by the way, this rising action at the end of every 2 bars, at least in the beginning of the verse. Then we have the 4 major 7, the G flat major 7, leaping from the D flat major, leaping from the 1 up to the 4. Following this, we have the minor third over the 7th, followed by the 3 minor 7. I don't know why that took me a little bit to get it out. After this, we got the minor 6, B flat minor, followed by the 7 diminished over 2, followed by the 5, followed by the 6 over 1, and then a real classic chord progression going from the 6 to the 4 to the 5. Once again, there's a bit of rising action as well at the beginning of this bottom section. Goes from the 6 to the 7, back down to the 5, and then up to the 6 again, down to the 4, and then up to the 5. And in the first chorus, it actually leaves us hanging on the 5. It wants to resolve to the 1, to the tonic, to D flat major, but it doesn't. So moving on from the first chorus, we have the bridge, the instrumental bridge. Here's a really, really simple chord progression. It's just going down and up the scale, from the 2 to the 1 to the 7, back to the 1, just going up and down. You'll notice it's for the 2 and the 7, it's specifically a 2 add 4 and a 7 add 6. So that way, throughout all 4 chords, well, 3 chords, the A flat is carried throughout. Now you might notice this little blue E flat coming up. That's because the key changes, actually goes up from D flat, upper minor second, major second, my bad, upper major second to E flat major. But if you look at the Roman numerals, it's the exact same chord progression, just this time in the key of E flat. Just F minor 7 add 4, E flat major 7, D flat half diminished 7, not D flat, D half diminished 7, add 6, followed by E flat major 7. After this short modulation to E flat major, we go back to D flat major. We have the 2, the 1, and then a nice build up, just going up the scale, 7, 1, 2, 3, which brings us into our next verse. But before we get into that, I would like to talk about the instrumentation, because at this point where the instruments really get to shine during this bridge. So the original piece, the original song, as I said, is vocals, string, and piano. So in making this for percussion ensemble, I had a few choices to make. First off, I decided almost immediately I want the piano parts to be played on the xylophone. It's just, there's no deeper meaning behind it, it's just I like the sound, and it's a really easy translation to make, going from piano to xylophone. Following that, we get to the strings, but not the entire strings, specifically the cello. I thought because the cello tends to be playing a different part than the rest of the strings in the song, so I thought, what better percussion instrument to play the cello than marimba? It's got those really nice, deep, warm tones on the bottom half, and for most of the song, that is what the marimba plays. Now, going into the rest of the strings, in the original song, they're basically just a pad. They're just playing the chords and going throughout the chord changes. So, what better percussion instrument to sustain chords than the vibraphone? It's as far as I know, the only percussion instrument that has a sustain pedal. But that's not all the strings do, because there are some parts later on in the song, actually the second half of the second verse, where a high violin comes in and plays a solo part. And so for this, I thought the glockenspiel would be a really nice translation, because it just sounds nice. It really is subjective. It's personal preference. I think it sounds really, really good. I love the glockenspiel. It's one of my favorite percussion instruments. Has a really nice sound, and I think it has the range to play these really high notes that the high violin is playing. And last but most certainly not least, just because you can never get enough of these, and they truly are amazing, we got tubular bells. Just for emphasis, emphasizing some of the chord changes. There is no direct translation from the original piece. I just thought this would be a really nice addition. Also, all of these translations that you're seeing from the original song to my arrangement, these instruments don't always play what they're translated to, just most of the time they do. So the xylophone isn't always playing the piano part, and the glockenspiel isn't always playing the high violin part. That's just most of the time what they're playing. There are a few exceptions, and we'll actually get into one of those exceptions later on. So, once again, we have ended off the bridge, we were rising up, and we go straight into verse 2, which, hey, this is the exact same harmony and chord progression as the bridge. The exact same thing. Even modulates to E flat as well. Just this time we got vocals, and in the second half of the verse, we got the glockenspiel coming in, representing the high strings. So this is really simple. In my arrangement, there are some different extensions just to accommodate the vocals. But other than that, it's pretty much the same as the bridge. And that takes us straight into the chorus, which is the same as the first chorus. Once again, it's just the exact same thing. It's just the same harmony with all the sus chords and whatnot. Except this time, when we go from the end of this chorus, it still ends on the 5 on the dominant, but this time going into the second bridge, it resolves to the tonic, to D flat. So, I love this part, by the way. It's my favorite part of the original song, is this bridge / first 3, I guess you could call it. I just think of it as one whole bridge, though. We have the tonic, D flat, which is sustained for just a really long time. And then that takes us straight to A flat over the C, the dominant, the 5 over 7. And that goes up. Instead of resolving to the 1, to D flat, we go up to B flat minor. And then we go from this B flat minor back down to A flat, back down to G flat, back down to F minor. It's just going down the scale. But you might have noticed this little blue B flat minor symbol. And here's why. That's because when the vocals come in, the song actually switches to the key. So the relative minor, it switches to B flat minor. Instead of being in D flat major, the key is now B flat minor. These are 2 bars of rest, by the way, at the top. Those are just simply when all the instruments are playing in unison, rising up into the vocals coming in. There's no harmony there, it's just they're all playing the same thing, rising up, building tension. It's a really, really great part of the song. But for almost this entire rest of the bridge, the key is in B flat minor. You could say it's still in D flat major, but the chord progressions make a lot more sense when I made them if you were to look at it through the lens of B flat minor as opposed to D flat major. So we go from the 1 to the 5 to the 4, then back to the 1. Then we go to the major 7th, because remember this is B flat minor, not D flat major. And now here is when I would say it returns back to D flat major. I added the B flat minor chords just for a little bit of context, but it makes a lot more sense when looking at it through the lens of D flat. So we got the 1 to the 4, and then back down to the 1, ending off this bridge. A nice plagal cadence when everything has calmed down a bit. I really, this is my favorite parts of the original song. It's really great build up into the vocals coming out, and this is the emotional breaking point of the song, basically. It's really, really nice. That takes us into the ending, the final verse, I guess you could call it. And we're back with this exact same harmony. Except the bottom part, ignore that. I forgot to cut that out. But other than the bottom part, the ending is the exact same harmony as verse 2 and the first bridge. In the original piece, the ending is a bit different. It stays at the same tempo. The piano plays through it, there's no strings. And it ends on the dominant. It ends unresolved. It gives a very tragic ending which is very nice. It's beautiful. But I wanted my arrangement to have a different approach, so instead I decided to slow it down. I brought the tempo way down. I replaced the xylophone playing the piano part. Now the glockenspiel is playing the piano part, because it sounds more intimate and delicate right after this emotional explosion. And at the very end, everything resolves back to the 1 chord. It goes from the 5 to the 1. And as I said, the original song is incredibly tragic. It's a beautiful, beautiful ending. As I said, one of my favorite songs of all time. But I didn't want my arrangement to be tragic. I wanted to reinterpret it. The original song comes off as a man that's painfully longing for something. He wants something desperately, and he knows that he'll never have it, and that destroys him. It doesn't destroy him, but it hurts him a lot. And so I wanted to change that a bit, as opposed to this almost desperate longing that the original song portrays. I wanted it to come off more as almost like wholesome wishes, like wishing upon a star. You know it's not gonna happen, but still a really nice idea to think about. And that is why I wanted to end the song the way I did. So that nice tragic ending, it ends resolved. And after the emotional breaking point that was the last bridge, the singer slows down, he thinks about it, and he appreciates what he has and the time he gets to spend. I feel like that's a really nice reinterpretation of the song. Quite fond of having that ending. And once again, the Glockenspiel, I love the Glockenspiel. It almost gives it a very lullaby-ish feel to it. And that was my arrangement of Photograph. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video very much. I am currently working on my next piece right now. Very excited for it. And I have great news. I've recently upgraded my notation software. Instead of using MuseScore Pro, which I have been using since I started this channel for a long time, I have now upgraded to Dorico, specifically Dorico Essentials. That's for those that don't know, Dorico has 3 versions. A free version, which is called SE, costs absolutely nothing, but it comes with a lot of restrictions. They got Dorico Essentials for, it used to be $250, now it's only $100. And then they got Dorico Pro, which cost $550. And as a college student, it would be quite a while before I would be able to make that $550 purchase. So I just went ahead and got Essentials, and it's been working amazingly for me so far. There's still a few issues with it that I need to resolve, but just comes with learning the program. What can you do? But no, the next piece is coming along really well. I'm very excited for it. It's going to be like nothing else that's been on this channel so far. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'll probably get Dorico Pro when Dorico 6 comes out, maybe, depending on how far away that is and how expensive it's going to be. Because right now we're on Dorico 5.8. It's like 5.8.81, if I remember correctly. I'd have to check again. So it's not going to be too long before Dorico 6 comes out, and you'll need to pay to upgrade. So I'll see how much that costs, but maybe if it's not nearly $600, I might upgrade to Pro. We'll see when it comes out though. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed. Once again, the next piece is coming along well. I hope to get it out somewhat soon. Without a doubt, before the end of February. Hopefully long before the end of February, but I don't want to make any false promises. But no, it's coming along very well, and I hope you all will enjoy it. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.